Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and today I'm talking about the 2025 Ride Deadbolt. It got some major upgrades from the 2024 model that you see right here that I've ridden extensively. First off, sorry for getting this review out so late, but the Ride Deadbolt didn't change much from 2025 to 2027. The 2025 and 2026 Deadbolts are almost exactly the same. The 2027 has only two changes. It has better BOA lace protection and it moved to the H5 coiler, and I'll be talking about that later. Right here is the Lasso, which is a very different boot, but it got the same shape and fit of the Deadbolt, which runs a little wider out of the box because of a different liner in comparison to the Lasso Pro. So I put it in here and I'll occasionally reference it, but I'm gonna be primarily talking about the Deadbolt. So let's talk positives and negatives. Here are some positives. This back area is adjustable according to your calf size. There's a good forward flex and decent articulation. There's a full rubber sole with good shock absorption. It has upper and lower adjustability. It was very comfortable for my size 9Es. They're very light and it's held up pretty well for the 40 to 50 days I rode it. Some things that might make you want to swipe left. There are seams in the toe instead of plastic. They're holding up well, but long term they might not. I was lucky to get this mid-season and ride it a lot on a wide variety of boards and bindings. I saw just about every condition. I rode down as well as toured up with these with the help of my Union Rovers with driftboard bindings and some split boards as well. And as you know, we put out honest, objective, unbiased reviews without any brand oversight. And we can do that thanks to the support of shops like Blower Board Shop out of Big Bear. They have a strong presence online. So if you want to support the Good Ride and keep objective reviews flowing, check out Blower Board Shop, click through our links and see if something works for you there. So let's talk weight. These are 2 pounds per foot, and that's very light. So are the old Deadbolts, and so are the Lassos. Now, when it comes to sizing, this is a 9 and it's a regular width. I'm a size 9E. I'm at the beginning of wide and the end of regular. However, this liner and this boot with its wider toe box and a little bit wider feel right here did a very good job fitting my 9Es right out of the box. Felt super comfortable. I didn't have to heat mold them and never felt any pressure points, any hot spots, any pain. I think if you're a C, D, or E, you'll be fine with these. If you need to do a little heat molding, this liner does a great job at conforming to your foot. But what I really like is how this area is almost all neoprene, where this is more foam. And so I think that's why it fits a wider foot so easy. With my Ride Fuse and the Lasso Pro, there's this foam that goes much further up, so the wide part of your foot has a lot of foam there. You really have to heat mold it to get it to fit, but once you do, it does very well. So this is just easier out of the box. A lot of the other quote-unquote narrower ride boots just need a good heat mold and then they'll feel great for somebody like me who's on the border between regular and wide. Now, when it comes to adjustability, you have the same upper and lower, but there's a better wrap inside with the lower BOA, so it locks in your ankle a little more than the older Deadbolt. One thing to mention too, these are samples and they don't have the BOA guides on these like they will in production. Just an FYI there. But overall, this is great for people who love that upper and lower adjustability, and better for people who want upper and lower adjustability, but also want a better wrap around the ankle like you get with the Lasso and the Lasso Pro that have one BOA for the outside and then one BOA for the inside. So it really wraps around that ankle and locks it in, but then you have no upper and lower adjustability. I really felt that when riding and really missed the separation that you get with the Deadbolts and other boots in Ride's line. And as far as BOA goes, it's always a little difficult to get them on. At least you're not tangled up though with hanging laces or traditional laces, but you have to twist, pop, flex, twist, pop, flex to get it just right. For 2027, this is going to get a little easier because Ride is moving their entire boot line to the BOA H5 coiler, which allows you to twist it backwards and micro loosen. So while it's still slow tightening it up, it's a lot better than the H4 BOAs. But when you want to get them off, it's pretty easy. There's just 2 snaps in the Velcro. There's this pretty easy on and off harness that you've got inside here. I've never had a problem with it feeling sticky or anything like that. So at the end of the day, I'm right out of the boots and I like that. Another thing to talk about with adjustability is you have a really cool new adjustability buddy here for people of different sized calves. And it can double for people like me who travel uphill a lot, maybe go split boarding on occasion or drift boarding like I do a lot. You can set these back like this and get a much easier negative flex, but it's primarily for adjusting to your calf size so you don't get that calf bite, you don't cut off the circulation there. That can lead to other areas in your feet losing circulation and getting cold really easy. In comparison to the old Deadbolt, this area was pretty tight and didn't have a lot of give, but now you can adjust this perfectly to your calf. I wish all boots had that. Now, when it comes to the flex versus the response, these boots have broken in a lot, and I'm doing this after like 40, 50 days of riding, so they don't have that flex they did right out of the box. This started at an 8, and I think it's now a 6. I was worried it was going to get really soft because you don't see a lot of the high-end Ride flex retention technology like their stiff backstay that really retains the boot's flex, or the slime wall tongue that is rubber so it just never breaks down. It just stays the same, like with my Ride Fuse. Those boots still have almost the same flex after lots of days, and I feel like those can last forever. And this old one has a lot of days on it too, but not as many as this one. I got this late last season. That has a little bit closer to the flex you get out of the box. You also have stitching, instead of like the Ride Fuse and the 92 and other boots that have that plastic around here, it really prevents wear. I'd love to see that, but so far so good. Look at how well the stitching's held up here. When it comes to response, I think it does a pretty good job, and it's very similar to the old one. I do like this articulation just a little bit better than the old, but they're very similar. So when it comes to shock absorption, this has a new tweak to the design of the sole versus the old one, but the overall feel is still the same. It's one of the most shock absorbent boots in Ride's line. The new Lasso is adopting that too. I'd love to see this all rubber sole with a lot of EVA foam underneath and a good bit of shock absorption throughout the entire line of Ride stuff. One of the reasons why I had to move away from the Fuse, which was a bummer because I love its flex retention. That thing just lasts forever. I love its adjustability, but it had a really hard sole and it fatigued me because it just didn't have much shock absorption. This is the opposite end of the spectrum. I think this is upper tier for shock absorption across the industry. It's not the best. I found better in some of the Nitro airbag boots like the Team, but this is upper tier and very good. And when paired with a binding that has good shock absorption, you've got a great combo there. And while this is a cush ride, all this rubber really helped at maintaining board feel, so it doesn't feel too removed from the board. There's always that fight between good shock absorption and good board feel. This is kind of in the middle. If you like more board feel, you're gonna like the Fuse, the 92, the Lasso Pro with that stiffer sole, but I felt like I wasn't missing anything with the Deadbolts here. The traction is great. It doesn't say Michelin, but I felt like this had just as good traction as the old Deadbolt. The Lasso adopted a very similar sole to this as well. In comparison to some Vibram outsoles I tried, those gripped a little better, but I never felt uncomfortable, and I think most people will be really happy with the traction on these. And when it comes to the footprint, these are pretty reduced. I would say they're only a few millimeters versus Burton, which lead the industry in footprint reduction throughout the size range. And I found these to be pretty warm, even with mostly neoprene around this side and a thinner side than the top. I got these down into -10, -15 with the wind chill, and my toes didn't get cold. I do run warm though. Yeah, the insole isn't great, but it's doable. You'd be much better off if you went super big and got like a custom orthotic, but it's almost the price of the boot. These are amazing though. Or you could go with a Remind or a footprint insole technology. Insole, they're at a much more reasonable price point, anywhere from like 30 to 60 or 70 bucks. I personally love the extra shock absorption, the heat moldability, and that's what I ride after extensive testing. It really improves the feel of this boot. So overall, I've really enjoyed this boot. It's very lightweight. It has great shock absorption. I wish it had a little better flex retention, but other than that, it's been a great boot to use. I like all the improvements over the old Deadbolt, and I think it's a nice change.